Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Professor Dr. Javed Iqbal FAROOQI, and you are watching my YouTube channel, Personal Development. Dear colleagues, anger is one of the most powerful emotions we experience as human beings. It can protect us, give us energy, and drive us to fight injustice. But it can also destroy relationships, harm our health, and cloud our judgment if left unchecked. Each of us has felt the heat of anger, sometimes in small daily frustrations, and other times in life-changing conflicts. Today, we will explore a very important question. Why do we get angry? And just as importantly, how can we control it before it controls us? Together, we will look at the roots of anger, the way it manifests in our lives, and practical strategies we can apply to manage it constructively. Because learning to master anger is not about suppressing a feeling. It's about transforming it into strength, wisdom, and growth. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Why do we get angry? Anger is one of the most powerful and universal human emotions. It has been a subject of inquiry in philosophy, psychology, sociology, and neuroscience for centuries. While anger is a natural emotional response to perceived threats, injustices, or frustrations, its intensity, manifestations, and consequences vary widely across individuals and cultures. This lecture explores why humans get angry, examining the biological, psychological, and social dimensions of anger. It further analyzes its root causes, expressions, and both destructive and constructive roles in human life before discussing strategies and evidence-based solutions for managing anger in healthy ways. What is anger? Every human being experiences anger. From childhood to adult frustrations in personal relationships, workplaces, and societies, anger is a deeply embedded part of human existence. Social sciences regard anger not only as a personal psychological state, but also as a social emotion shaped by cultural norms, interpersonal relationships, and structures of power. Neuroscience shows it as a hardwired response linked to survival, while philosophy and religion often view it as a moral or ethical challenge. Why do we get angry? The key question is not whether we get angry, but why we get angry and how we can channel this energy towards positive ends rather than destructive ones. The root causes of anger. First is biological and evolutionary roots. Anger has evolutionary significance. It served as a defensive mechanism to protect humans from threats and mobilize physical energy for survival, fight or flight. Neurologically, anger arises from activation in the amygdala, which perceives threats and triggers hormonal responses, adrenaline and cortisol, preparing the body for action. Studies suggest that anger evolved to signal to others that boundaries are being crossed, thereby discouraging exploitation or injustice. The second cause is the psychological explanations. In this connection, there is frustration-aggression hypothesis described by Dollard and Miller in 1939. And according to this, anger often arises when people are blocked from achieving a goal. Then there is another cognitive appraisal theory. And according to this, anger is triggered when individuals perceive that an event is unjust, intentional, or avoidable. And there's a third theory, that is the personality factors. Traits such as impulsivity, low emotional regulation, or high neuroticism predispose individuals to anger. The third root cause is social and cultural factors. There's a social learning theory. People learn anger responses by observing others. And these include parents, peers, or media models. Then there's a theory of cultural norms. Some cultures tolerate open displays of anger, for example, Mediterranean cultures, while others encourage suppression, for example, East Asian societies. And the third group of social and cultural factors are socio-economic stressors. Poverty, inequality, workplace pressures, and lack of opportunities increase frustration, fueling anger at personal and societal levels. The fourth group of causes is moral and existential roots. These include that anger often emerges from perceived injustice, disrespect, or violation of values. This is sometimes called righteous anger, which motivates activism and social change. Existential psychology highlights that human limitations, mortality, and lack of control over life circumstances also trigger anger against fate or authority. What are the manifestations of anger? Anger manifests differently depending on personality, culture, and context. It has internal manifestations, external manifestations, and social manifestations. In the internal manifestations, these include increased heart rate. When person becomes angry, there's increased heart rate, blood pressure rises, and there's muscular tension. The suppressed anger leads to anxiety, depression, or psychosomatic illnesses. Then the external manifestations. These include verbal aggression, shouting, insults, sarcasm. Then physical aggression, which includes violence and destruction of property. And we see these every day in one or another part of the country. People are angry. People become aggressive. Then there is passive aggression, the silent treatment, procrastination, and subtle sabotage. These are the passive aggression. Then among social manifestations, the domestic conflicts between spouses or family members. We see that. We observe that. Then there is workplace anger expressed in conflicts with colleagues or burnout. And then there is collective anger expressed in protests, riots, or revolutions. And we witness these. The important point is not to forget the dual nature of anger. The anger may be destructive and constructive. Destructive anger leads to broken relationships, violence, mental health problems, and social unrest. Chronic anger is linked with cardiovascular diseases and impaired decision making. While on the other hand, constructive anger means when it is channeled properly, anger motivates personal growth and social justice. Civil rights movements, revolutions against tyranny, and advocacy for the oppressed have often been driven by anger against injustice. So, what about managing and transforming anger from negative energy into positive energy? So, there are different approaches like psychological approaches, social and relational strategies, cultural and structural solutions, and philosophical and ethical approaches. So, first, briefly discuss the psychological approaches. These include cognitive behavioral therapy, and this helps individuals recognize distorted thought patterns and replace them with healthier responses. Then there's another approach of psychological ones, that is the mindfulness and relaxation. Practices like meditation, breathing exercises, and yoga reduce physiological arousal. Then there's another approach among the psychological ones, that is the emotional intelligence training. And this is learning to identify and regulate emotions effectively. Now, the second approach is that of social and relational strategies. And these include communication skills, assertiveness training, expressing feelings without aggression. Then another strategy is conflict resolution education. It means teaching individuals and groups to negotiate rather than escalate. And the third strategy among social and relational is parenting and role models. Modeling calm, respectful ways of handling anger for children. Now, the third approach is that of cultural and structured solutions. And these include reducing structural inequalities that breed frustration, poverty, and discrimination. Another way is promoting community dialogue and empathy building programs. Another is incorporating anger management education in schools and workplace. The fourth way to manage and transform anger is philosophical and ethical approaches. And these include Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes distinguishing between what we can and cannot control. Then religious teachings. Many traditions advocate patience, forgiveness, and compassion as antidotes to anger. And then moral reframing, which means transforming anger into moral energy for positive action. To sum up, anger is an inevitable human emotion rooted in biology, shaped by psychology, and amplified by social and cultural conditions. It is not inherently bad. It signals that something is wrong and needs attention. The danger lies in uncontrolled anger, which damages health, relationships, and societies. Yet, when understood and managed, anger can serve as a force for personal integrity and collective justice. But the challenge for individuals and societies alike is not to eliminate anger, but to transform it into constructive energy for healing, problem solving, and positive change. So, what are the tips for your anger management? How you can control, manage your angerness? And we all should know what are these tips. There are 10, 11 tips, and these include: recognize the early signs. You should notice physical cues like increased heartbeat, muscle tension, or clenching fists. And it will tell you that you are going to become angry. Awareness is the first step in preventing escalation. Remember. Then pause before reacting. Use the stop, think, respond rule instead of react instantly. Count to 10 or take a few deep breaths before speaking. Then it's practice relaxation techniques. Another tip. And this includes deep breathing. Inhale slowly. Exhale even slower. Progressive muscle relaxation. Release tension in body parts. And visualization. Imagine a calm place or soothing image. This is the third tip to manage your anger. The fourth tip is use healthy communication. Express anger in an assertive but respectful way. Use I statements. For example, I feel upset when, instead of blaming you always. The fifth tip is cognitive reframing or changing your thoughts. Avoid absolute words like always or never. Reframe situations realistically. This is frustrating, but it is not the end of the world. Think that way. The sixth tip is time out strategy. Stop away from the situation for a short break. Return only when you feel calmer and clear. Seventh tip is physical activity. Do regular exercise like walking, running, and sports, and this helps reduce overall stress. Even a brisk walk in the heat of the moment can diffuse anger. The eighth tip is problem solving approach. Focus on solutions rather than dwelling on problems. Ask yourself, what can I do to improve this situation? Ninth is use humor, but not sarcasm. Light humor can diffuse tension. Avoid sarcasm, it often worsens conflicts. The 10th tip is build emotional intelligence. Practice empathy. Try to see things from the other person's perspective. Learn to differentiate between anger triggers and actual problems. The 11th tip is healthy lifestyle habits. Adequate sleep, balanced diet, and avoiding alcohol stimulants reduce irritability. Mindfulness and meditation improve self-control. And the 12th tip is know when to seek help. If anger is frequent, intense, and damaging relationships or work, and you cannot help yourself, professional help of a counselor, therapist, anger management program is highly effective in such situations. So, what are the do's and don'ts of managing your own anger? What you need to practice? The do's, they include pause before reacting. Count to 10 or take a deep breath. Recognize triggers. Know situations, words that set you off. Express feelings calmly. Use I statements, not blame. I feel upset when, for example. Use relaxation techniques, deep breathing, mindfulness, prayer, short walk. Another do is take a break. Step away before anger peaks. Another way is practice empathy. Try to see from the other person's perspective. Another way is exercise regularly, release tension and stress. Another way is sleep well and eat healthy. The tiredness and hunger increase irritability. Another way is reflect afterwards. Analyze what triggers anger and how you can improve next time. Seek help. Counseling, anger management training are trusted mentors if anger is hard to control. What about don'ts? Do not shout, slam doors, or break things. When you are angry, do not bottle it up. It will explode later. Express in a healthy way. Do not use alcohol or drugs. They worsen anger control. Do not keep replaying the situation in your mind rumination. Do not generalize. Avoid you always, you never statements. Do not engage in arguments while angry. Wait until you cool down. And do not deny anger completely, acknowledge it. Then channel constructively. Some quick rescue tips. Deep breathe in, hold, slow exhale, repeat 3 times. Drink a glass of water. Excuse yourself politely from the scene. And write down your thoughts instead of saying them instantly. Now, what are the tips to control an angry person? What we discussed till now were the tips to control your own anger. No universal tips to control an angry person. These include: first, stay calm yourself. Do not mirror their anger. Keep your voice low and steady. Avoid shouting. Your calmness can de-escalate their intensity. Second tip is listen actively. Let them vent without interruption as long as it is safe. Use active listening signals, nodding, short affirmation, for example, I understand. Many times, angry people just want to feel heard. The third tip is avoid arguing or defending immediately. Do not try to win the argument. Arguments during high anger usually escalate. Save explanations for later when they are calmer. The fourth tip is show empathy. Acknowledge their feelings. For example, I can see you are very upset about this. Empathy does not mean agreement. It means understanding. The fifth tip is maintain safe body language. Keep open posture. Avoid pointing fingers or crossing arms. Maintain safe physical distance. Avoid sudden movements or invading their space. The sixth tip is set boundaries if needed. If behavior becomes abusive, see clear limits. For example, I want to talk, but not if voices are raised. Safety first. Remove yourself if threatened. The seventh tip is, or seventh way is, offer solutions or choices. Guide them towards problem solving once they cool down. Offer small, actionable steps. Let's take a short break and then discuss options. Eighth tip is use a calm tone and neutral words. Avoid sarcastic or judgmental remarks. Speak slowly, softly, and clearly. For example, instead of you are overreacting, say, let's try to look at this together. The ninth tip is encourage a break. Suggest a pause. For example, maybe we both need a few minutes to calm down. Or a timeout prevents escalation. The 10th tip is know when to disengage. If the person remains aggressive, walk away respectfully. Say, I want to continue the conversation when we are both calmer. And the 11th tip is ensure safety first. If there is a risk of physical violence, keep exit routes clear. Do not try to restrain unless trained. In extreme cases, seek professional or security help. Here also there are do's and don'ts. The helpful actions are stay calm, keep your tone low and steady, listen actively, let them express without interruption, acknowledge feelings. I see this has upset you. For example, you say this. Show empathy. Understand their perspective even if you don't agree. Use open body language. Relax posture. Maintain safe distance. Encourage a break. Suggest cooling off before continuing. Also offer choices. Shall we sit and discuss calmly or talk later? Set boundaries. Calmly state limits if shouting abuse continues. Another is ensure safety. Keep exit routes in mind. Call help if needed. Things to avoid. Do not shout, beg, it escalates anger. Do not argue or debate during peak anger. Do not criticize or blame. Do not use sarcasm or mocking tone. Do not invade personal space or touch them. Do not say, calm down. Often it increases anger. And do not corner them, allow space. The golden rule is you cannot control the angry person, but you can control your own response. So, staying calm, listening, and showing empathy often turns anger into constructive dialogue. If anger becomes frequent, extreme, or violent, encourage the person to seek professional counseling or anger management training. With this, we come to the conclusion that why we become angry, what are its root causes, what are the manifestations, how we can control our anger, and how we can deal with an angry person. Thank you very much for being with me in today's session. I hope I am clear to communicate the ways and means how to control your anger and how to deal with an angry person. Dear colleagues, anger is a natural human emotion, but how we respond to it defines our character, our relationships, and even our health. Remember, we cannot always control what triggers us, but we can always choose how to react. The pause you take before speaking, the breath you draw before responding, the empathy you show in a heated moment. These are small choices that create a big difference. So let us live today with this reminder. Do not let anger be the driver of your life. Let it be the signal that guides you to patience, reflection, and positive action. When you control your anger, you don't just protect others, you empower yourself. Me, Dr. FAROOQI, signing off. See you in the next vlog. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.